John, your first book, Compensatory Trade Strategy, it deals with how to stretch capital. Now, please give us a link between compensatory trade strategy and unleashed a new paradigm of African trade with the world.
Good. Obviously, one of the key links is that continuity, right? We're writing
Absolutely.
about the same
Absolutely.
subject matter. Basically, Africans are poor. Okay, so the idea that we try to create in the book, the first book, Compensatory Trade Strategy, is that you can utilize techniques that have been perfected in the West and East. In this case, the old USSR and the Western countries had to do business one way, even though the currency that the old USSR was using was not convertible. In other words, nobody could take a ruble and go buy something in London. It's useless. And the only way they could trade was to trade in what I call compensatory mechanisms. And in this case, barter. Complicated barter, not just barter of goods and services.
Please.
For instance, that I alluded to, there is a project that we talked about in this book. We talked about a couple, but one of them in particular is the gas for pipes trade, right?
Yes.
So the Soviet Union wanted to build a gas pipeline. Well, they had no technology to actually get the gas and convey it hundreds, thousands of miles to customers.
Yes.
That technology belonged in the West, so they needed that technology. They also needed expertise to help them put it all together. The pipes themselves would not all be produced in Russia, right? In this, what was then Soviet Union. So what did they do? They created an arrangement, they engineered, for lack of actually a better term to describe it, they engineered a trade arrangement, which is part of compensatory trade. It's called buyback. Okay?
Yes.
Buyback is where you pay for the goods that you need to produce something from the sale of the products of what you had to buy in order to produce it. Okay? In this case, they needed technology for gas, and they had to get money to buy that technology, to import the technology and the expertise and the materials. It's a multi-billion-dollar transaction. They had to import all of those, and so they had to get the money for that. And then the way they paid for it was not by getting a loan directly. They got a loan, but the loan was tied to the export of gas to Western suppliers, right? So Western suppliers, no, it's different. So the Soviet Union got gas. Westerners had equipment, expertise, they had materials. So they traded the gas for the equipment. It took years, they're still paying for some of it. But what the West ended up with, they were able to make good loans, with good interest, not exorbitant, but good interest. So they're making money, a profit from the loan they made to the Soviet Union. And then the West also got supplies of gas that went to their customers. So Western companies signed an agreement with the Soviet Union that we will take gas.
I see. Okay.
Okay? We will take the gas. And once they signed that agreement, that became a guarantee to the banks that they're going to get paid. Because the Western government customers, they would take gas and they would deposit in a set account, an escrow account, the monies for that gas. Then a manager has to now take that money, pay the bank what the Soviet Union owes the bank, give the balance to the Soviet Union. Very simple. And you can do that all day long in African countries. So for instance, somebody wants to convert cashew raw cashews into canned cashews in Ivory Coast or wherever, right? And they have no capital to pay for the equipment they need. Well, when what you need then is a customer who will work with these companies and with these countries, and they need a broker. That's where we have a company, African Trade Group. And so what we will do, we will help engineer trade arrangements that are beneficial to African countries. That way they can stretch their capital. Okay? How does it tie to Unleashed? Well, in Unleashed, we are advocating massive investment in the conversion of the raw material that African countries are exporting into finished goods for export. Nigeria, for example, can get 4 or 5 new refineries, or as many refineries, so that they don't have to import any petroleum products, any refined petroleum products ever, but in fact can start exporting motor oil and so on and so forth, refined petroleum products, right? They can also convert more gas into plastics raw materials. This can all be done in compensatory arrangements, compensatory trade arrangements. The conversion of one of the more interesting things that I think is unique in this sense is that South Africa is a major exporter of precious metals.
Yes.
Okay. And they have labor issues, right? Because there's high unemployment, and so you have unrest because the black majority is quite unhappy that all these years after the changeover from the apartheid system, they still have not seen the direct benefits. But what needs to happen across the board in South Africa is conversion industries. Okay? So they need to bring the refining of gold home so that you're not exporting raw gold, but you're actually storing that gold product in South Africa for whatever purposes. If you're exporting it, it's exported like the Krugerrand like they used to do. And then it's refined into jewelry and any need. But everything should be finished in South Africa. That requires bringing the expertise to create an industry of producing gold ornaments and things that utilize gold.
And more jobs.
More jobs, creating more jobs. So the nexus actually is that in compensatory trade strategy, we talked about how governments, private sector, as well as entrepreneurs can go into deals that stretch capital. And our company, African Trade Group, can help in some of these arrangements. There are other companies, but I believe that it's important that African governments remember how important it is to build Africa-centric companies. The reason Africans have so much trouble today is because most of their middlemen are non-Africans. And they have zero reason to think in terms of building the African continent. All they are interested in is the quick buck and what benefits them immediately.
So that's what you mean by Africa-centric.
That's what I mean by Africa-centric.